Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? I'd seen some music off this release, but copyright, you know? Hallucinate, get me Gatorade. There's Joshy Grizzle. Hey Liz, welcome on. Lovely to see you. Hi Al. Yay, folks. We are getting some folks on. We're here a little bit early. Say hello in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me good too. I'll keep singing for you while we wait. When you call my name, I'm losing my Reebok. Again, lyrics, copyright. You gotta do these things. Facebook will tear you down immediately. Hey, Michael, welcome on. All right, y'all, as you are getting on and we're waiting for folks to pop on for our wonderful tips and tricks, please, I'd love to know. Hello, share where you're coming from. Please share with us what's your today's hooray. What are our little wins happening today? Sound quality is good. Hey, Tiffany, I miss you too. I really do. That was a fun training. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Janet. Good to see you. So yeah, as you're popping on, as we're getting close to time starting, please share what's your today's hooray. I will share mine. Very specific reference. I was on the Wendy Williams show this morning. uh, a lot of the talk shows are doing virtual audiences, and I got to be part of the virtual audience. So if you like Wendy Williams, go check out my cameo from this morning. I had a lot of fun. I'm not as involved in celebrity topics, so I learned a lot of hot topics that I should probably know. Thanks, Michael. Oh, that's so great, Michael. It's always great to get a good evaluation. Any other today's hoorays? I mean, nobody can really top Wendy Williams, can they? Oh, you know it, Janice. I hallucinate. I've been singing nonstop today. I have just been in a great mood. It's been really great weather in North Carolina. The sun has been shining. It was like 60 degrees outside. Be jealous. Be judgmental if you think 60 is cold. Janice, I did not get to speak on the mic to Wendy. However, it was really fun because right before this show began, one of her producers was taking us around the studio showing the background and stuff. And he goes, whoa, wait, hold on. Wendy's right here. Let me make sure she's decent. And we were like, oh my God, we got to say hi to Wendy. And he said, are y'all ready to say hi to Wendy? And we were like, yeah, let's say hi to Wendy. He flips the camera, and we think we're going to see Wendy Williams. It's a doll of Wendy Williams on the back with a little tiny cup of tea. And the most interesting part about this is that there was a bubblegum jar of all the used pieces of bubblegum that Wendy chews on the show. She sticks them in this like bowl. I don't know if it's all of them, but it was a lot of gum and it was disgusting, but it's Wendy. Anyways, this has become the Wendy Williams fan page. Let's switch it back to Body Attack. Hey, Sue. Sue, I bet you're drinking coffee right now. We share that love of coffee. Taught Body Attack this morning, then spent the afternoon hanging with my granddaughter. Oh, that sounds so nice. I love teaching a Body Attack in the morning and then having the rest of the day. You kind of live on that energetic feel and go do other fun stuff. Yeah, Tiffany, I'm not jealous of that. Nope. Enjoy your 27. Yep. I've lost my tolerance for the cold. Okay, hello. So folks are still popping on, and I wanted to say hello and welcome to our Lesmo's Body Attack Release 111 Tips and Tricks. This session is being recorded and shown live, so if you're here live with us now, we can just party on and enjoy our time together with the Q&A and our interaction and community. I haven't talked to a lot of people in person today, so it's like the opposite of a podcast, and you all get to talk back to me. How funny is that? If you're watching the recorded session, welcome on as well. We're so happy to be able to connect with you through these Facebook Lives, and we're excited to try this new format this round as we work through all of our programs. So today is Monday, March 8th. Be sure to check out the schedule in the main Les Mills US instructor page, and that way you can attend other programs that you may be certified in. For example, tomorrow we'll have Les Mills Body Jam over in their official instructor group. And just a reminder, just type in LMUS official program name instructor group, and that should pop up for you to join if you have not already. So, hello, my name is Judson MacDonald. I am a national trainer, assessor, and presenter for Body Attack. I'm certified in a lot of other programs as well. Body Attack is my baby. This was my very first certification that I ever went through, and I have never fallen out of love with it since. I started nearly, oh gosh, many, many years ago. 8, 9, has it been now? Anywho, with that in mind, as we move through this session tonight, my objective is to offer to you some tips and tricks to enhance your ability to interact with the choreography, the technique, and the coaching from this really, really great release. And we'll talk about what kind of makes it special and different from the rest of them. Let me just double check. All right, awesome. So let's dive right into this. So I want to talk about kind of what makes this release super special. So as you can kind of see, I mean, we've got holograms happening. We have lots of amazing music, deep drums, deep bass music, and it's a really strong release for that fact in that it brings music to the forefront. And Lisa describes this as a party. So as I'm kind of talking through the summary of this release, feel free to sound off in the comments like what tracks are like really pulling at your heart. And I have one in mind. I'm curious to see how many other people agree with me which track is their probably favorite from this release. Anyways, I digress. So when we talk about 111, there's a lot of interesting things happen. This round of releases, especially for programs like Body Attack, we saw the use of holograms in our masterclass filming. All of the details about how this happened are on your Les Mills Releases app. There's a really great article written about how this round was filmed, and it's quite impeccable. Having folks record live over kind of a more robust version of Zoom from all across the world, Body Attack tracks happening anywhere from 7 a.m. in the morning to 3:30 in the morning local time, 4:15 in the morning, and capturing terabytes of footage that was brought back to Les Mills, New Zealand, and projected into this wonderful auditorium, massive gymnasium. Goodness, I don't know where they find their sites, but it was a really cool way that they were able to have Lisa teach with these people, not having them in the same room by any means, but having their projections and their holograms up. And it was done by placing a reflective screen up, dipped into a wonderful chemical. I'm not a chemist. Don't be upset. I don't know a lot of science, but I do know Body Attack. I do know linguistics. I do know Spanish. That's what I went to school for. So I'm not going to tell you about the chemicals. You can go read about that. So they filmed through this cool screen, and that's what brought the cool thing alive for the release, in which Lisa was teaching next to these presenters, and they were able to interact with, or Lisa was able to interact with them in really cool ways that made it feel that while there were so many travel restrictions, unfortunately not to bring them to the main stage to teach, it was still a unified experience to kind of bring the whole world together in a time that can feel so isolating. So, Judson, you're talking about science. You don't know science. Why are you trying to do this? You're not funny. I do have some jokes, though. Before we get there, I want to mention kind of what my personal highlights are. So, I asked you to go into the chat and share kind of what are some of your favorite tracks. Al said all of them, and I certainly have to agree there. However, there are some highlights that I want to point out to you. So the warm up is a warm up that does not play around. You jump right into it. The energy starts immediately. Thanks, Sue. What can I say? When you bring the energy in with this warm up, it gets our bodies moving quite quickly. And so, with this in mind, you'll notice some really interesting repetition that happens in the warm up and carries on throughout the release. And what's cool about this is that with higher repetitions of similar moves and similar combos, it's going to give your members time to really get into the music and feel it and get lost in it. If you're teaching virtually, same case in which you can have more moments of silence to let the music speak and let your words land. And if you're not teaching currently or not able to teach, there are opportunities for you as personal workout and ways to refine your coaching and practice with this awesome release to just enjoy less complicated combinations, but rather get right to the nitty gritty of some of our favorite moves like plyo lunges, skaters, and all the good stuff all throughout 111. Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat, Janice said the track 5 sequence, my arms wouldn't agree though. Yeah, I agree. I think track 5 is definitely one of those unique ones that it's going to take some time to get used to. And I find that more and more in the past couple of releases. So with track one in mind, you're going to see some really cool references to kind of pop culture. So Lisa talks a lot about TikTok. She loves social media. And so you will see the introduction of the TikTok arm. I think that's a really fun addition to this release. So if that feels authentic to you and feels authentic to the people that you teach, or if you're just hanging out, at home and doing this release by yourself and it feels super rockin' to you, you go for the TikTok arms. They're there for you. And don't be afraid either to go out of line and do a different TikTok dance. I mean, we even have the floss from like Body Attack 102. You could even bring that back. Have fun with these arms and don't stress too much about making sure they look perfect. Have fun with some of these elements that start to carry through. I love, love, love this introduction of kind of TikTok into moving towards track 6. So, track 6 is the song Roses. It's a really great remix. And if you haven't been familiar with the app TikTok, it's a really cool app that's very popular with the Generation Z crowd right now. And it's short, tiny videos that feature different jokes and different ways to deliver information. And they're very similar to Instagram Reels if you've used those before as well. Track 6 is interesting in this regard because Roses, the song that was chosen, was shot up into the top charts of the music industry because of TikTok. It was one of the most often used sound bites to be the background music or the feature of certain TikToks. And so it's cool to see this into Body Attack because you can use that knowledge and use that song to connect with people, especially if they're really familiar with this social media outlet. So engage with the fun parts of the runs, whether you're teaching virtually, whether you're at home and you're just doing the workout, talking with other instructors and saying, hey, what kind of TikTok arms are you doing today? Or, what can you do to bring this song alive in terms of those points? We're running around the room and we're doing the 5 knee lift combination. There's a lot of fun moments in this track to connect. So, yeah, and Janice said track 1 is a TikTok song too. Janice is our resident TikToker, Instagram reeler, so I honestly will have to pass the mic over to you later on, Janice. And finally, just a highlight that's honestly a personal favorite for me is track 9. So I was hoping to see someone post about this one in the comments, but hey, no harm, no foul. I get to introduce it. Track 9. Oh, sometimes can't sing anymore. Copyright. Love it. Oh my God, what a great way to bring this song back into the Body Attack universe. Now, what's cool about this remix is that the music does all the work for you. Kamisha said, I'm not cool. No TikTok for me. Girl, I don't even want to hear it. We're going to get you on TikTok. We're going to get you in the personal training room soon, too. Who knows what 2021 holds for you? Anywho, with track 9, we're going to talk about this in just a couple of moments more about what to pay attention to, but know that the music is driving in this. There's a lot of moments for connection and a lot of moments for emotional pull. And this is one thing I find in every Body Attack release, that there's at least one really big musical moment that's different from all the rest. So hang tight. We'll talk more about that in a second. Now, As we're going through this release, I just want to highlight too, just a continued big picture of where Body Attack is and where we're going as a program. So, in terms of program updates, there's nothing really formal coming down the line at the moment. So, as you continue on throughout this quarter, what's most important to know is that we want to continue consistency and being really clear about layer one coaching. I'm going to offer some tips in just a little while for a way to kind of upskill your coaching as you work through this release. But I want to emphasize mainly that in our aerobic tracks, we want to have fun. We want to bring alive the music. We want to allow for opportunities of silence. When we're working through athletic tracks, when we're in our sports tracks like the plyometric for track 4 this round, coaching the basics is going to be super, super crucial as it is across every track. Being able to get your participants moving first and then delivering the compulsories that really reinforce the safety of the movements. So, what I mean by this is allowing space for both the music to come through, for your words to come through, and letting people move before you offer the great amounts of fitness knowledge that they have for them. Again, I'll come back to this in just a few minutes so we can have a few examples. And finally, I just wanted to acknowledge too, in the Les Mills Releases app, we have the education tab for our program, Body Attack. There's no specific features coming down the line for this release specifically, but if you are newer to the team, I mentioned this because I would love for you to check out the Releases app, tap the education tab at the bottom, and just peruse the Body Attack section. There's some general education principles there that are really valuable to go back and look at, even if you've been teaching for a while. I often go back and watch some of these features in terms of kind of sports inspired training, agility drills, and just kind of seeing some of these cool generic tips that really inform my coaching, especially in a time when I'm not teaching very much. I'm very fortunate that I just literally just got a class back in terms of Body Attack. So I'm teaching one 45-minute class per week. And with this class, it's a slow start, of course, getting back into the swing of teaching. And I'm so honored that that is this my situation because so many of us don't even have that opportunity right now. So as we continue forward towards brighter days, just know that there are always ways to continue keeping engaged with the material and keeping your skills sharp. So I recommend the education tab as one. Let me check the chat to make sure we're good. Jen, I love it. So just a couple of things to pay attention to, and then I'm going to open this up to kind of more of a Q&A style, okay? So what I want to pay attention to here is, again, back to the fun. So in our aerobic tracks, for example, especially the warm up with the TikTok arms, the boxer arm line in track 3, and in some of the parts where we can let go and the circle runs or runs on the spot, like in track 6, for example, it's important to pay attention to enjoying these arm lines and letting more of your personality show with these. So don't feel as if you have to stick with exactly what's prescribed in the choreography in terms of the TikTok arm. Let it go, play around with it, and do stuff that feels authentic to you. For example, sometimes with like a little lasso, you know? Sometimes we have a really serious group at 5 a.m. and they do not want to see you nor acknowledge you, but rather just move to the music. And hey, that's okay. Appeal to what your members are feeling, appeal to what you're feeling if you're taking this alone at home or virtually, just keeping an eye out on the Zoom windows, seeing how they're reacting to what you're putting down. Thing two to pay attention to in this release is kind of the repetition. So as I noted earlier, some folks I've chatted with have said, hey, this release kind of feels like really digestible. Like it seems pretty easy to learn. And regardless if you feel that way or not, hey, it is a great amount of repetition in terms of the blocks. Example, track 4, each block looks very similar to each other. And that way, think of it as an advantage of getting lost in the music more and being able to develop coaching surrounding specific moves even deeper than we normally do with lots of complex coaching, or excuse me, combinations. And then finally, just one more thing to pay attention to is in track 7. So in this move of the agility track, we have a squat that happens in conjunction with up taps, or up jacks, excuse me. I'm in my body step brain sometimes. So when we're coming up into the up jack, when we land soft after the 4th up jack, we stick a squat. Now, what's important to note here is that the squat is held all the way until the first repetition of the up jack again. So the temptation is to do the 4 up jacks, land into the squat, and then come up for air, and then go back to the up jacks. The choreography prescribes and has us hold the squat for the full 4 counts. And it sounds easy right now. If you haven't tried the release yet, go try it tomorrow. It is a leg burner. And so being able to practice this timing and hold the 4 counts is beneficial because it will engage more muscle fibers and it will set you into the position to create a really powerful up jack. Remember, bringing our hips just above the knee height, that is our perfect squat range. Being able to come out of this position is going to engage the back of your legs like no other agility track has, and it creates a really specific challenge. With a challenge also comes the ability to offer options. So if you're able to cater to the needs of your class, if that's something that they're rocking with and they're ready for, go for it. If not, sticking with simple jacks or taps to the side is what's going to be really helpful to help this track be accessible to not only the diehards, but also the newer folks coming to class. I'll tell you, as folks are feeling more comfortable to come back to gyms in our area specifically, I'm noticing that when I teach, I have more new members than I've ever had in my life. And so being really prepared with those options, especially in BODYATTACK, is going to be exciting and it's going to be crucial, not only for member retention, but also to help them feel really successful, whether it's their first class or their 1000th class. Again, this is like the opposite of a podcast. I feel like I'm talking a million miles a minute. Feel free to bug me in the chat with questions if you've got more, okay? All right, team. And then my last thing, before we kind of open up to just some more conversation, is just within our coaching, as I mentioned, coaching the basics, I would like to encourage using more time in your coaching, such as being in person or being virtual, for example, to think about the concept of saying less and meaning more. So remembering too that as we continue forward in this hybrid space, and this space where we're still trying to figure out what our teaching prospects look like in the future, is just being prepared to come back when we can and when we're able to with the skill set to bring clarity in our words. And so when it comes to coaching the basics, thinking of ways to keep those cues really sharp and concise. So one quick tip I would say is, for every 2 repetitions, focus on one thing. So introducing the exercise, letting a couple of repetitions come to let people get the feel of the exercise, and then reinforcing with ground up cues, such as bend the knees for a soft landing. Let them do a rep or 2. Brace the abs to protect the back. Let them do a couple reps or 2. And I found, especially teaching online, this has been more important than ever to allow my words to come through the camera, come through their microphones a lot more clearly, because this is a challenge for especially those learners who are more auditory focused to hear us, because it's already a challenge to see us and see our lips moving. Being able to give these really strong uh, verbal cues and visual cues, of course, for our verbal, for our for our visual. Sorry, again, words are not coming to me. Visual learners is going to be really important this round, especially. And with that, that's kind of my spiel, y'all. There's a lot about this release, and it was really hard. Like seriously, like my notes are full. It was really hard to kind of pull back and pick out the highlights because I truly do believe that every release we get is just getting better and better. And that's what Lisa wants is this to continue being really exciting for us, really accessible for us, and just making an impact on our communities, especially in such a tremendous time. What questions do you have about this release, about BODYATTACK? What compliments do you have for my outfit? I got dressed for you today. See, I'm wearing work clothes, technically. Technically. Thanks for the fire emoji, Jen. I agree, Al. I think this is a really special release. Sue said, if you have to teach, and hi again, Sue, if you have to teach wearing a mask, you definitely need to talk less so that you can breathe. Yes. I think it's really interesting that there is that kind of like panic the first few classes coming back. I'm not sure how many folks have actually come back to the gyms yet, and if you're teaching with a mask or not, depending on your region's laws and guidances. For us, it took a few weeks to just really like wearing the mask and being able to get our words out, but knowing that trusting science and that it's not inhibiting our oxygen to the levels that we can't do it. It's more of that mental challenge. And I honestly say, for me personally, it feels a lot more normal now. And I honestly think of it. I learned this tip from Jen Ponarelli. The mask is actually just a big windscreen for your microphone. So I love not having to put a little windscreen on my microphone anymore because my dexterity like can never get it on. A question from Janice says, do you feel like arm lines can be altered? Thanks, Janice. So, Janice, yes, I do feel that when it comes to arm lines, specifically in like the aerobic tracks, for example, there are modifications we can make depending on, again, what format we're doing, what the feel of the track is, and this is something that we can be a little more liberal with. And again, it's serving the greater purpose. So, for example, in this track 3, we have the reach out arm line for the single knee instead of a straight fist. We also have the boxer combination, and these are things prescribed to us in the choreography. Now, in a 45-minute class or a 30-minute express class, for example, Lisa has encouraged us, if the reach and run arms do not feel as appropriate, keep it as a running arm. In the TikTok arm, if this doesn't feel authentic to you, how else can you let your true self shine through? These are kind of the best case scenarios where we're offered examples of ways to make connection and bring fun out into the release. But again, it's kind of pulling back and thinking what works for me, what's true to me, and as long as it's not something that pulls away from technique or pulls away from your ability to perform the move safely and effectively, there is a little bit of variation in those arm lines. Katie, hi Katie. I feel like this release is really accessible for members who haven't been in the gym for a while. I certainly agree. Um, for example, track 9, I actually taught last week to get a feel on how the members would react to it. And if you've done the release yet, you'll note at the kind of the recovery move is 4 single knees, 4 heel digs. That progresses into 4 single knees and a burpee. We didn't even get to the burpee. We stuck with the single knees and the heel digs the entire time because the class really just needed that recovery more than they needed the challenge of the burpee. So I really like that way, and I was thinking about it in the car afterwards, how this release kind of had some built-in mechanisms, as all do, to modify the options appropriately to what you see in front of you. Um, Head of research, Dr. Bryce Hastings, he recommends to us whatever 80% of your class needs in front of you is what you should do as the instructor. And so, for example, in that class I taught last week, it was, noting, I show one burpee, nobody does it. Try it again in the next round, nobody does it. I'm going to stick with them and doing the heel dig. Same thing with like the tuck jump in that track. If only a couple of people are doing it, encourage them to keep going. But whatever 80% of that class needs, if they need to stay grounded, if they need to stay without the impact, role model that with them so that they have that consistent option to move with. Melissa, hi Melissa, it's good to see you. I had to do way more low options, but some tracks are so good. It's hard to pull back when the music and tracks are so great. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that, Melissa, with a mask. Yeah, I tell you. Um, and just like Jen said, it's very scary teaching cardio with a mask, but it was great for helping me work on silence. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I will comment on that too in saying that be patient with yourself too. I mean, I went downstairs and did the 30-minute of this release a couple of hours ago, and by track 9, like I had to listen to my body. Like today, I was just not ready for it. Like it hurts sometimes to think back. March 2020, it was just like, oh yeah, I would have been doing all these tucks, but yeah, it's a way of pulling back, listening to the body, and just knowing that you'll get back to that fitness level, or that fitness level you really want, or that feeling and those options you want to do eventually. Just, little by little, be gentle with yourself, because kind of like we see in the master class, this is kind of the best model description. If what we see in the master class is if the class is perfect and goes well, showing all options that could possibly be done. So don't feel the need, especially if you're doing the master class on your own, to have to do every single tuck jump. Take options and build up and continue building your fitness in those ways. Jen said, scary the first few times, I mean. Now it's just the new normal. Yep, it's just a huge windscreen. So yeah, I'm looking through the chat, y'all, and I don't see any other questions. Feel free to send a few over. We still have about 3 minutes left, and I'd love, love, love to talk about this release more with you. And while that's happening, I will mention too, I was actually mentioning to Janice earlier today on the phone when we were chatting, um, that big musical moment I referenced earlier in the chat is that track 9 has it. There is that moment right before round 3 where you see the presenters, especially Lisa, take the fist up and go, blah! And it's so powerful if you just let the voice go away, pretend the mic isn't there, and just share that moment in the music with your participants. It doesn't even have to be that exaggerated, but let that natural feeling come through your body and let people feel it. Maybe even acknowledge it before it comes. Listen to this. Bah! Another example is in the third rep of every jack combination with the side step jump. For me as an instructor, that's a non-negotiable for me to say nothing, because that's when you can hear the wind up in the music. And the fourth final repetition you do that, there's something so powerful about silence when you hit that first jack. Boom! The bass is so strong in it, y'all. If I give you one challenge today, I would say if you're teaching that this week or in the future for your launch, aim to not say anything on reps 3 or 4 in that jack combination. Let the music go. Al said, I listen to my body for body attack, and I only the 30-minute versions. Then eventually I will be moving back to the 55-minute version. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the great things about the express formats, is just little by little building up endurance. And quite honestly, the 30-minute version too, straight through some of the most intense tracks of the class, it can be a killer. So it actually makes the 55-minute version feel a little better for me. I'll never say easier. I never say attack gets easier. I say that it certainly gets better. I will say that. Well, y'all, here's the thing. So we've only got 30 minutes for these, and I don't want to hold us here any longer than I promised. So what I will promise you is that I'll be monitoring the chat for the next week, along with our awesome Body Attack trainer team. There's some of these wonderful minds here on the call right now. Continue offering your questions, especially if you're listening to the recording, and we'll try to answer some of those to you. And if we don't know the answers, we will send you directly to our wonderful team support. And who knows, maybe I'll call Lisa myself and get the answer for you. Kamisha said, we do the 45-minute version now in my class, and we talk about how conditioned we will be when masks are a thing of the past. Oh yeah, I like that optimistic thinking. Yeah. One day it will be a thing of the past, but for now, we will deal with it. Wonderful, y'all. So just a couple things to wrap up for us today. In just a moment, I'm going to put a survey into the chat. I would love for you to answer this. This is the very first Facebook Live tips and tricks of this quarter. Ooh, ooh. So that means we get the awesome opportunity to share some feedback on what we can do better for you in the next quarters to come. If you like this, we'll keep doing it. If not, we'll figure out something else to help keep this accessible. So there's a link in the chat. On Instagram, I've put my handle in the description. I'm Judson W. Mac on Instagram, across social media. And Lisa Osborne is also very active on Instagram, Lisa Osborne Body Attack. If you come up with any cool TikTok moves or any cool just engagement with 111, please tag both me and Lisa. We would love to see what you come up with, and certainly hashtag Body Attack 111. And I just wanted to shout out a couple of body attack trainings coming up soon. We have a April 10th and 11th body attack training with Janice Years, and we have a May 1st through 2nd body attack training with Andres Camargo. These are both online trainings, and we've got more in the future that are to come. So just check out the events tab on the instructor portal. And I mentioned that for you to tell other folks who may be interested in becoming body attack instructors and joining the awesome team we here have in the great USA. So, with that, I think that's where we will end for tonight. I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. Oh, time goes by so fast, but I will see you when I see you. Our paths will cross soon. We will work out together again in person one day. So just hang on tight, enjoy this moment, and continue spreading the body attack love everywhere you go. We're still going to keep trucking. Hallucinate when you call my name. All right. Thanks, y'all. I'll see you around.